can be considered possible. An important fact about the season's penultimate match day from a German footballing fan perspective is that we used to have simultaneous kickoffs on the 33rd match day, and that was something that was changed for the television audience. So if you're wondering why Germans were protesting so vehemently earlier this year against the investor deal, they were mad about things like that. They don't like their simultaneous kickoffs on the 33rd match day being taken away. It'd be pretty exciting stuff considering all of the races that we have. But it'll still be a fun match day regardless, and I'm happy to speak about it with you.
Excellent stuff. Yeah, absolutely. I think there was a slight delay on YouTube before with the video going live, but yeah, looks like we're up and running. So apologies if YouTube was a little bit slow on the uptake getting us live and kicking. But
that's a monologue, Jesus.
But we're good now. But yeah, evening everyone. Evening, Erin. Thanks for tuning in. Always great to have you joining us. Before we get going, make sure you leave a thumbs up on the show as well. That would be fantastic. If you can do, let us know your predictions, if I can get my words out this evening, and subscribe to the channel as we reach the hot end of the season now. Just a couple of weekends left, plus of course all the juicy finals that we have to look forward to. Maybe before we start, Peter, a quick note and word on what we've already seen with BVB and Bayern the last two evenings. Huge congratulations to Borussia Dortmund. What a fine 2 legs of football they really played against PSG. It was absolutely excellent from them, and some serious performances from a defensive point of view and at the top end of the pitch as well. And then unfortunately, depending on who you support, of course, but from a German perspective, Bayern couldn't make it the all Bundesliga final. They were ousted very late on in Madrid thanks to 2 late goals from a former Stoke legend, Jorge. Peter, just very quickly, what were your thoughts on those 2 legs of footy?
There's not much more to add than you did. There's obviously Dortmund, very workmanlike performance, and they had quite a bit of luck. I think they made a pact with the goalpost there at the Parc des Princes in Paris, bribed it and paid it some extra money. But one needs a little bit of luck at this stage, as Marcel Sabitzer said, and congratulations to Dortmund on heading to Wembley. A little bit of a shame that we didn't get the Bayern-Dortmund final again at Wembley, just as we did. That would have been an interesting case of deja vu. And of course, all anybody really wants to talk about with respect to the Bayern match is that offside call at the end. I think everybody agrees that this was false. It doesn't matter if you're a Bayern sympathizer or not. You just have to say that was horrible officiating. In the end, the better team did win. Real were the better team. So congratulations to them as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Good stuff. So let's get cracking with predictions. That's what we're here for after all. So yeah, match week 33 starts tomorrow evening with FC Augsburg taking host to VfB Stuttgart. Peter, you're going to walk us through this one to get us started.
Most certainly. I don't know why you don't want to predict a big win for your boys, because I do believe that they're going to get one. Augsburg are tactically a bit of a mess at the moment. Torp has been throwing together this back 3 that has just been an absolute disaster in the last 2 matches. Stuttgart have quite a bit to play for. The Vizemeister crown, second place, matters to the Swabians a great deal more than I would say that it matters to Bayern. So I think that we're going to have the same scoreline as in the Hinrunde. It'll be 3-0 Stuttgart.
Very good. I can say that I do feel confident for this one, in fairness, but that also not wanting to put a jinx on my boys. So let's get that down as 3-0 on foot. I'm foregoing my duties here. There we go. 3-0 for the away side is what we think. Next up, the Saturday afternoon kickoffs. We've got Leipzig versus Werder Bremen. 2 sides in good nick, actually, if we're talking Bundesliga. And the form guides, Werder have obviously managed to pull themselves away from that relegation worry with a real good upturn of form. Players really stepping up across the team, really, which has been really impressive to see. Leipzig's form has been really solid. They've been really good to watch, scoring a good amount of goals and really enjoying what they've been producing. So one would imagine that this should be a game of goals. I do still fancy Leipzig just because I think Werder will struggle to keep them out going forwards. And Leipzig are very strong at home, of course. So I'll go for a 3-1 home win, I think, for Leipzig. I think, they'll have too much of Werder in the end. And maybe the fact that Werder are now mathematically safe, maybe if those great efforts might, slightly slide off a little bit. So over to you again, Peter, for Freiburg-Heidenheim.
Well, two teams that are in the European chase now that maybe not necessarily don't wish or don't deserve to be. This will be Christian Streich's final home match at the Europa Park Stadion after all of these years in charge. So there will be some stirring tributes. There'll also be some in the match that you're about to discuss, as Toni Janschke and Patrick Herrmann are retiring in Gladbach. I think actually you'll see some experimentation here from Freiburg in this one. I don't know necessarily that they'll be playing all that hard for the win. You might even see a start for Junior Adamu, whom I believe are going to be trying to showcase for a summer transfer. So I will go for a rather placid 1-1 draw in this case.
Yeah, I would pretty much agree with that. Also, the fact that Heidenheim are missing Kleindienst because of yellow cards, I think. So that obviously negates their attacking showcase as well. Okay, next up, I've got Gladbach Frankfurt to kind of walk through. Strikes me as a game that might have goals in it. Gladbach certainly are good for goals as well as being good for conceding them. From a Frankfurt perspective, obviously we've seen them have an okay go at Bayern, I guess, maybe less so. Weekend just gone against Leverkusen. Before that, they played pretty well. Hugo Ekitike has now got 3-3, which is great for him. His confidence will be riding high. And the front three of Frankfurt have been playing a little bit better as well. So seems like a game that will have goals. Means more for Gladbach in terms of that relegation race that they are fully involved in. And like you say, a couple of farewells. They'll target this because the final game is away to Stuttgart, which obviously, depending on your motives and how you end up, you could be needing a result there if you don't get the win. With all that in mind, I'm going to back them, even though it's probably quite dangerous to do so. So it could be one of the ones I look back on in a few days' time and say, "Oh God, what was I doing?" But I'll say a 5-goal thriller, which Gladbach come out on the right end of. I'll go 3-2. Probably not the wisest suggestion. Right, next up, one of the biggies from the relegation point of view. Peter, you can walk us through this one because it's a game of great importance.
Absolutely. Well, of course, we had a incredible 6-goal thriller between FC Union Berlin and VfL Bochum last Sunday, most unexpected from those two relegation-threatened sides. Also, I would like to give a shout-out to the Kölner home support, even though the Saturday night Topspiel last week between Freiburg and Köln ended in a goalless draw. Good God, was that crowd into it. That was incredibly amazing. I thought that was very, very special, and I feel like they'll be behind them again this time. Unfortunately for the Geisbürger, I think that Union are carrying a great deal of momentum into this one. Union, of course, parted company with their trainer, their head coach, I should say in English parlance, Nenad Bielka on Monday. But I think that the team, particularly in the second half against Bochum, really, really showed some important things. And Marie-Louise Etta was there on the sidelines, and they were cheering them on. It was a wonderful scene, really. Chris Bedia got his first Bundesliga goal last week. Jorbe Vertessen also scored as well. Brendan Aronson he should have been starting. I don't know why he didn't start, but he was absolutely amazing off the bench. I don't know where that was during the first half of the campaign. So I think that you'll probably see a 3-1 Union victory here. I don't know where the goal from Köln comes from at this point. I really don't. They have injury issues. Chabot has been doing individual training. Martel is also questionable. Last time I heard, Alidou had some chances last week, but I'm sure that his confidence is shot to bits after some of those misses, particularly that one miss he had late. I mean, if I have to read another story about Mark Uth potentially being available for Köln, I can't take it seriously at this point. The man is, I mean, if he's fit, then that makes a huge difference, and they could get a goal. So I mean, 3-1 would be my tip. This is one that we'll both weigh in on, of course, though, since it's so huge. So what do you think, Rory?
Yeah, I'm struggling to pick out a lot of positives for Köln, even though I would, it'd be quite I don't want Köln to be relegated. I want the relegation race to keep on going, to the last weekend as well, and really add some jeopardy. So a win for the home side would certainly do that. But like you say, I just don't know where their goals come from. To be fair, I was struggling to figure out where the goals were coming from for Union when they were 3-0 down against Bochum as well. So yeah, the triple substitution that was made at halftime, as you say, Bedia, Aronson, and I forget the third person. And so yeah, two of them score and things look a lot more positive in that sense. So I think their record in Köln is quite good. Their last 5 games, I don't think they've lost in Köln, Union. So they've got a decent record there. They'll believe. Mm-hmm. So if I was to weigh in, I'll probably say 2-1 to the away side. So definitely in agreement in that sense. Obviously, pending what happens Saturday afternoon, the top spiel is Mainz versus Borussia Dortmund. Obviously, we've mentioned Dortmund and their antics midweek, the amazing week that they've had. It would be easy for me to say, well, because Mainz need a win and Dortmund, well, they don't. They've got other now focuses. They know they'll be in the Champions League regardless. It'd be easy to say what kind of team turns up in Mainz, what are the motives. But I was kind of thinking this last week when I did the show on my own. I predicted Augsburg would win, and that didn't quite go to plan. So it's always dangerous betting against Dortmund, but their Bundesliga form has been, patchy. The 5th best side in the Bundesliga this season. That is because of their league position. That's fair to say. I'm really struggling with this. Mainz being at home, having players back from obviously a suspension point of view will definitely help. They'll know what is required. They know what's required anyway. They have to win, really. What am I predicting here? Both teams. Dortmund would like a bit of revenge, I guess, as well in context of Mainz ruining their last day title party last season in that 2-2 draw. There's loads of connotations to this.
Here, I'll help out a little bit.
Yes, please do.
I think that's when we look at first of all, let me also say that I disagree with you about Frankfurt-Gladbach. I think that Frankfurt-Gladbach, if you looked at the XG of Frankfurt against Leverkusen last week, it was actually quite even. There was this boneheaded stuff from both Tuta and Niels and Kunku, the fullbacks, which Topmüller can swap out. And the reason I bring that up is because the Dortmund win over Augsburg was also a little skewed because Augsburg was playing that horrible back three. The first Moukoko goal probably should have been an own goal from Mads Petersen. The second Moukoko goal, he didn't know anything about it. It just bounced off his chest. great stuff from the debutant there. I think I'm pronouncing his name correctly. As a German, it's even sometimes even difficult. Vetkin, who was the midfielder there as part of Eden Terzić's double XXL rotation. I mean, really, the only truly fantastic player on the pitch, I would have to say, was Marco Reus.
Yeah.
Against Augsburg. And I think that there's going to be a lot of rotations here as well. Terzić is going to give half of the Champions League field the night off. And Mainz, as you mentioned, they get two key players back from suspension, Nadim Amiri and Jae-Sung Lee. I think that, and the crazy thing about Mainz, they're in the relegation race now. They are on 29 points. They're riding a 7-match undefeated streak on 29 points.
Yeah.
Possible that if they get 2 draws, they can ride a 9-game unbeaten run into the relegation playoffs. So what I'm predicting here, and this is something of a bold prediction, I will predict a draw. I'm going to predict a 2-2 draw, which doesn't help Mainz out much, but it gives them something of a moral victory. That's the way that I see it.
Now, people aren't going to believe me, but I was thinking 2-2, to be honest. Yeah, I think a draw is entirely possible in this match with everything that we kind of gone over. So we will lock it in as 2-2. Right then, moving on to Sunday's action. Start off with already relegated SV Darmstadt. So they're taking on Hoffenheim, who of course are in this odd battle for Europe, which there's a really good article on Bully News about how the Bundesliga might end up with half of its teams in Europe, which is absolutely fantastic. It might be interesting to see how all 9 of those go next season, for sure. But anyway, to this match, I mean, yeah, Darmstadt now not carrying any great pressure, but they're not carrying any form either. Of course, they'll want one last great hurrah in front of their own fans at home. Whereas obviously Hoffenheim will have a desire to get as many goals as possible and push themselves further into European contention. So I've completely lost track of who's doing what. So I'll just throw this one out there, and then we can both do one each to finish. I'll say 3-1 away win. Peter, what do you reckon to that?
I'll back Darmstadt, believe it or not. It is their last match in the Bundesliga, and they have excellent support. Hoffenheim are a patchy squad, and props to Moritz Bayer for writing that article on my colleague there on Bully News about the 9-team European field. This is another reason why I'm furious that we don't have simultaneous kickoffs. Not only I don't want Darmstadt versus Hoffenheim to be a standalone match, but also because how exciting would this European race be if we had simultaneous kickoffs on the penultimate match day? So, yeah, maybe I'm going with the heart a little bit. But, I mean, Darmstadt, the thing is, that last week and also in the time that they got decimated by Augsburg, players like Skarka and Justvan, they had early chances, And I really like the idea of Justvan doing something special against his parent club in this. And so that's what I'll go for that one. Speaking of this odd race for Europe, if VfL Wolfsburg end up qualifying for Europe, I don't know, I may give up and stick straws in my hair. I don't know why such a bad team has a right to qualify for Europe. Yeah. And I will go for a big Bayern win, a 4-0 win at the Allianz with the Can playing a great deal on that one. And then, Rory, the big question, the question then remains with you. What do you think about Leverkusen's prospects for the undefeated season? I've been tipping it quite a lot on this pod. They're just one match away if they do this against Bochum, will they?
Yeah. Great question. Tantalizing question. Of course, Leverkusen are playing as we speak. I have goal notifications on my phone, and I have none, so I presume it's still 0-0 in what looked like a fairly rotated Leverkusen team. It's what Xabi has been doing all season anyhow. And yeah, they'll be going all guns blazing against a Balkan side that, of course, need the points as well. But yeah, I can't bet against this Leverkusen side. They've overcome so many obstacles. It would obviously be a huge shock if they were now to fall at the second to last hurdle, obviously from a Bundesliga perspective. Yeah, I mean, regardless of the team that Alonso puts out, I just have so much confidence in the way that they're playing. All their stars, every single squad player knows their role and always steps up to the plate. Balcom, of course, involved in that maddening, crazy Sunday afternoon game with Union last weekend. Of course, we'll be thrilled to have got on the right side of it, but they'll be worried at how the second half kind of got away from them and some of the defensive lapses that I was watching anyhow. So I will say a 2-1 away win. It will certainly be close, but yeah, I think Leverkusen will have too much, and depending on results, then put Bochum right back in the mire for the final weekend. What do you think to this one, Peter?
Sure, absolutely. It's going to be historic. And Morrison's right that Bochum was Leverkusen's last loss. That was the last day of last season. But I think Adli got sent off in that one. So that had a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
And I don't know Erasmus Carstensen. I think he just was never all that good.
Great stuff. So that is all of your games predicted for the final penultimate weekend, rather, of the league, of the Bundesliga. If we just scroll across, if what me and Peter have said and agreed on in some parts come to fore, from the European race point of view, we would see Hoffenheim up into 7th place. Of course, Peter thought that Darmstadt might win. Then Freiburg on 42 points, and a little bit further behind Heidenheim and Augsburg. But obviously, goal difference will also have a say potentially on the last weekend. And if I just scroll down to the bottom of the table, again, based on our predictions, we'll have confirmation that Köln will be playing their football in the Zweite Bundesliga next season, with Mainz really now hoping on for, well, we'll need that last day victory. But again, Peter, goal difference will come into play because Bochum obviously are, significantly worse off in that sense compared to Mainz. So it'll still be incredibly tantalising on that last day of the season. And of course, I've also predicted a rather bold Gladbach victory. So it's all open still, I think, is what we're probably trying to say.
Agreed.
Good stuff. So yeah, thank you to everyone that's tuned in this evening. I really appreciate it, especially whilst the footy is on. So make sure you get back to the Leverkusen match. Enjoy the rest of that. Just a quick one to say that we will be tuning in for a penultimate fantasy football show tomorrow morning, usual time, 8 a.m. UK. And that will be with Runa and myself. So yeah, look forward to doing that. As mentioned, please leave a thumbs up if you can do on this video. Let us know your predictions and subscribe, of course. Make sure you go and check out all the different vlogs I've been dropping recently. We've got one more in the chamber, at least, which Peter's been working really hard on. There's obviously the Wehen Wiesbaden versus Greuther Fürth.
Well done. Very well done. That pronunciation was excellent.
One try. You'd like to think I'm getting there after this many seasons. So yeah, great stuff. Thank you to everyone. We'll see you tomorrow morning. And yeah, on we do go. Cheers all.